Good morning. If you'd like to see how we made this quilt display case, it's on wheels, removable top, 100% cherry. Stay tuned, because that's what we're going to do today. Good morning and welcome to Memphis Monday 347. Today we're going to, well, what happened is a friend of mine was going to build an ironing board for my friend. Then she saw the quilt display case, and I said, well, I'll combine them together and make the ironing board and I'll make them the same. The problem is it has to go into a small space, so I was given some dimensions that the whole thing has to sit in. So the design process has been rather challenging. Well, let's knock off the chit chat and let's get to work. I got us started here by building the base. This is all the size it's going to be. This looks like just a little flared leg base, but actually is on wheels. She wants to be able to push it around. All I've done is put the flared legs here, and then mounted the wheels where they'll fit in that space. Actually, if that thing's sitting on a carpet, won't be easy to push. Here's our drawing. Our piece will be sitting on this stand right here, which I've already shown you. And then it'll have 4 panels. It'll have the front panel, the back panel, the door panel here on the end, and then the other end panel. These 3 panels will have glass in them, or plexiglass. Be a removable top, and this door will be removable. What I need to do now is install some trim around the edge of the base. This may sound silly, but I'm actually putting the trim on before I get the piece built, because my panels need to come right out to the edge of that trim, right to the trim. And I want to be able to remove the panels independent of the trim. So calling it trim is probably the bad idea. Probably ought to call it a ledge or something. Let's call it the ledge. Now, this first piece of edging I'm putting on here is a little bit warped. It springs out that way. Shouldn't be a problem. I'm putting 2-inch long brads in it. And I'll put about 3 down here, and then I'll be able to push it in from this end down here. That's a theory. Okay, how it works is I've got to build 4 panels. There are 4 independent panels. They're only connected. There'll be a spacer across here on the inside, and then they'll be connected up here at the top and at the bottom with decorative screws that'll come in from the back. So I've got to cut out 16 pieces of stock here, and you see, the way these things are built, there's going to be a rabbet on the inside to receive the glass, but these inner parts of the panel here, these horizontal sections, they'll have to be exactly measured. So I took some time here to crunch the numbers and look for mistakes, and I found one right here. I fixed it. Now here's the stock for the panels. These are the uprights here, the vertical sections. All the panel pieces are 2 3/4 inches. Right now they're 7/8 thick. I'm going to plane them down to 3/4. Put a rabbet on the inside. Put pocket holes on them. So we got a lot to do. Let's plane these down to thickness. The next step is to put the rabbets on the inside that'll receive the glass. This rabbet will be through on the horizontal piece, and then I'll need to stop about 2 inches, actually about 1.5 inches from the end down here, and then I'll have to finish this rabbet with a chisel. Well, I got a test piece cut. Put that rabbet in there. You can see that it's about 1/2 inch by 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to use this 1/4 inch Lexan. I'm going to go in there like that. And then you hold that in with a fairing strip or screws or little wedges, whatever you want. But I decided to do something different. Let me show you. I've never done this before, so I'm going to make a little practice piece here, a little practice panel out of some poplar. What I'm going to do is put a dado, a 1/4 inch dado, right down the center of the piece, and then slide the Lexan into it. Let's give that theory a try. Well, this might be previews of coming attractions. This is a little box I built for my dado, stacked dado head cutter. Got a little hook here. The top is inset into the, into the sides, and I put all my stuff in here. But I'm calling it a prototype because it's not really. After I built it, I decided it's not. I need to be able to put these things in here individually. Like in a row. A little. Also, this insert here won't fit in here, so that's not good. So I'm going to use this for a while, and then I'll have all the features I want to add. So I had a pretty good setup here. Then changed my plan. So here's the look we're going for. Got that 1/4 inch dado right down the center of the board. The Lexan goes in that slot. I don't know, it gives it a kind of a satisfying look to see the balance there. And since this is Lexan, it should never break or anything, so it shouldn't have to be taken out of there. But even if it is, you can disassemble this panel real easy. Okay, let's go ahead and do our real pieces. Just a quick note here. This is another example of why I don't offer my plans online, because they're never right. Never. I can't think of a single time where the plans I meticulously put up, I didn't change. You know, even at the last minute, and going back to the plans and making all the corrections, there'd still be mistakes because I'd miss the corrections. So I just thought this would be a good example. Well, on our little prototype, I made our dados on the table saw. And I ran the dados right on out to the edge. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see the pocket screws go right through that dado. Well, that's okay on our prototype here, but of course we can't do that on our piece. So let me show you how I'm fixing that. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to do it on the router table. This is a 1/4 inch straight cutting bit. I've got it centered on my 3/4 inch stock. And since it's a pretty deep dado, I'm doing it in 2 passes. And at each end of the board, I've got a stop line. I've got a plunge line on this side and a stop line on this side. Show you. Well, I got the frames all mocked up here. Make sure everything fits, everything seems to fit. Well, what I'm going to do now is, I guess one of the drawbacks of doing the glass the way we're doing it is I really need to finish all the parts. Get some finish on all the parts before I assemble anything. So I'll go ahead and sand these things down, put some finish on them, and then we'll jump back in when we do some assembly. Well, I stain the pieces. Right now I'm putting together the panels. Let me show you how I do that. Since we're putting the glass in dados instead of rabbets, I have to actually install the glass at the same time putting the panels together. This is 1/4 inch thick Lexan, very strong stuff. Putting the panels together with no glue and pocket screws. Pre-drilling with this long drill bit so I don't split anything out. These panels will actually they'll get quite a bit of strength from the Lexan, and also the fact that they're going to be connected together. Well, it's really looking good. Everything's fitting perfectly. Okay, we got the 3 glass panels. Now we got to complete the back panel, which is wood, and we also got to do the lid. This is going to be the lid. We're going to put 1-inch cherry trim all the way around the edge. So let's work on the back panel and the top. Well, I stained the top and the back. I don't know why I didn't do that before. Okay, now I guess we can do some final assembly. Well, I went ahead and installed those pieces we just stained. Listen to that sound. Hear it kind of rattle? That's because it's just floating in there. It's floating in that dado. Let me show you the construction features here. I already talked about how the panels are made. The panels are then held together with these screws right here. They're called cabinet installation screws. Ordinarily they're countersunk or they're hidden inside the cabinet. But in this application, my goal is to make this thing 100% disassemblable. It's portable. You can take it apart, collapse it down, and put it in the front seat of a small car. So these are nice, honest fittings. There's only 4 of them, and they go on the back, and they just drill from one panel to the other, and you can take them in and out. Remember, we were making a big deal about the getting that trim right there exactly the right distance, because we couldn't, after we install the panels, this edge here these have to line up, and the panels have to come right up next to that trim. So that's what that was all about. Here's the front view. Got glass on the front, and then it's got the solid back. And this is the access panel. The panel slides right in there behind that trim, and then it has a little dog, a screw that goes through this cleat, and you can dog it down with this little clip there. So the same with this cleat. This cleat is removable. Now, if you didn't, if you weren't comfortable with having these exposed fittings, you could put a million different things. You could put biscuits in there. Dowels would probably be the best thing. You just drive a couple of dowels in there, but then the thing wouldn't be portable. And this is what's called a hanger bolt, and it's screwed into this cleat, and which makes you can secure the door at the top, and then it's secured at the bottom with the trim. Okay, now what we got to do is install the top. The top will also be removable, but we don't want it to slide around on there. So let me show you how we're going to do that. Okay, the positioning cleats, we want to make this system as foolproof and as simple as possible. And so to secure the top here to the frame, we're just going to install 2 cleats on the underside. We go over to the other, this represents the inside of the frame. So this cleat right here will be right here. And this cleat will be right here. Now, the motion in this direction will be stopped by the corners here. And the motion in this direction will be stopped by the edge right here. So that's my theory. Let's see if it works. This is the back cleat here. What I'll do is install this and flip it over on the top and use it to position the front one. I'm using joist hanger screws for no good reason except for the right length. Well, let's see what kind of damage we caused. Okay, now the other cleat, go in position right like this. I'll put these screws in and we'll see if we can get this thing to fit. Now for the big test. I don't want it to go on easy. Oh, that's perfect. We finally reached perfection. Well, I think the construction's about done. Cleats worked. I'll go ahead and put go to poly on the project, and I won't bring you along with that. And clean the glass up a little bit, and we'll take a look at it. Well, that does it for Memphis Monday 347. Yes, it is. This is our quilt display case. It's got a movable base. It's portable. You can take the thing apart. It's held together with these cabinet screws. The top comes off. This front panel is held on by a hanger bolt. Take that off and it'll come out. It's 100% cherry. It's got 1/4 inch Lexan set down in dados. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied. Well, that does it for Memphis Monday 347. Today we built a little quilt display case. It's not as big as the other one we made because my My friend had a certain small space that it had to fit in, so it can only be 30 feet, inches tall. It can only be 30, I think 18 or 20 inches wide. It could be only so deep, etc., etc. So we had to fit it inside that. We installed the glass into dados. We used a 1/4 inch Lexan. I don't know if you know this or not, but Lexan is actually probably more transparent than glass in a lot of ways. The glass, you get a prisming effect. You get some colors and translucence that you don't get with Lexan. The glass is actually much better, but I think this is going to be in a working application. She's going to be using this as an ironing board, so I thought Lexan would be much more appropriate. 100% cherry on a little movable stand. I think it turned out fine. So like, favorite, and share, and all the stuff you on the internet. Most important, make sure you're back here next week for another exciting Memphis Monday. Thanks for playing along.